welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. We begin with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
Sudan's de facto leader, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, met with Uganda's President, Yoweri Museveni, in Entebbe on Saturday. According to a statement handed out by Uganda's State House, the two discussed regional and bilateral matters. The Sudanese Army General has visited other countries in recent weeks, including Egypt, South Sudan and Turkey, amongst others. Meanwhile, an 18-story building in the center of Sudan's capital was engulfed in flames amid ongoing fighting in the country. The Greater Nile Petroleum Operating Company, situated in downtown Khartoum, caught fire during clashes between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces. Elsewhere, thousands of Nigerians descended upon the country's French military base on Saturday. The third of such protests in many weeks after French President Emmanuel Macron said the ambassador they'd been calling to leave is being held hostage. The demonstrations began 2 weeks ago when tens of thousands of protesters gathered outside the base to demand its troops, as well as the French ambassador, leave the country. Hundreds have remained ever since, vowing to occupy the base's front entrance until their demands are met. Still, on Saturday, Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso signed a security pact promising to come to the aid of each other in case of any rebellion or external aggression. The three countries are struggling to contain Islamic insurgents linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State, and have also seen their relations with neighbors and international partners strained because of the coups that brought their military leaders to power. And on Sunday, thousands of people gathered in Liberia's capital, Monrovia, as opposition leader Joseph Boakai launched his campaign ahead of the October elections that will test the popularity of President George Weah after a chaotic first term. Supporters of 78-year-old Boakai braved the rain at a stadium to dance, wave flags and demand change.
The present John Weah regime, we will see a lot of improvement that I can bring on them. We will see a lot of improvement. We are nearly in. There will be another system. You will never see importing of drugs in the country anymore. That will be killing our youth. You are unable to do what you plan to do. So for that reason, you are incompetent to carry that people over. For that reason, there is a regular desire to move you from power because you are not facing anything.
Also present were former fans of President Weah who were disappointed by what they say was his failure to improve living standards or stamp out corruption in the impoverished West African country that has been hit this century by a civil war, a devastating Ebola outbreak, and downturns in commodity prices.
World leaders are convening in New York City for the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, holding from today, September 18th, through to the 26th. As is expected, preparations are in top gear, especially as regards security. This event has met with increased police presence and many changes to city operations to ensure assembly security. Our correspondent, Maria Bird, has more.
The 78th UN General Assembly is being met with much expectation from the world, as this assembly marks a crucial milestone in the journey towards achieving the 2030 agenda. New York City is hosting one of the largest assemblies in recent history, as the focus will be on rebuilding trust and reigniting global solidarity, accelerating action on the 2030 agenda and its sustainable development goals toward peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability for all. Heads of state and government and ministers will work to solve some of the world's most challenging global issues to advance peace, security, and sustainable development. New York City Police, Transit Authority, and government officials have been preparing for one of the most high-security assemblies in the world. Most of the streets in Midtown Manhattan, New York City, have been blocked off to ensure UN security. While New York City is home to the United Nations, it is also making sure that it takes every precaution necessary to ensure the global leaders are safe and secure while the assembly is taking place. This General Assembly will take place in one of the largest cities in the world and is expected to host thousands of world leaders and officials during the high-level meetings and will tackle the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. From New York City, Maria Bird, Channel Television News.
Well, a lot of people are definitely in New York for the UN General Assembly, and we have joining us now from New York is the CEO of Medicaid Cancer Foundation, Dr. Zainab Shinkafi Bagudu. Many thanks for joining us on the program today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon from New York.
Good afternoon. So I do know that you're in the medical field, but what brings you to New York City this week?
Well, I'm an active health advocate and a member of civil society. And the gathering of leaders is also happening alongside a lot of side meetings that focus on the sustainable development goals that will bring improvement in health and other areas of development for not just the global north, but indeed the global south. I'm a very big advocate for equity and having participation of the global south at the table where decisions are being made, and also having improved access for healthcare for our people. So I'm here to attend to answer your question more directly. I'm here to attend the series of meetings that are focused on non-communicable diseases, women, and youth health.
So what are your expectations of the meeting this week? How do you hope to make an impact with the kind of work that you do?
The big meeting that is being held this year is by the United Nations General Assembly, is one on universal health coverage. It is my hope that the gathering of so many leaders, including our leaders from Africa, including our own able leader, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will participate in the UHC meeting and implement finally universal health coverage for people in our country. Without having adequate insurance coverage for health, it's a problem for people to access the healthcare that they need, particularly in the area of non-communicable diseases, but as well as other common ailments that we have, such as malaria, sickle cell anemia, and childhood mortality, childhood diseases.
Right, so a lot of leaders are at this very important meeting, including leaders from Africa. Our own President Bola Tinubu is there. He arrived on Sunday, and there'll be many meetings on the sidelines of this UNGA. There'll be the addresses to the UN General Assembly itself by African leaders. So how important is it for African leaders and those like yourself who work in civil society that are invited to participate in global dialogue? I think there's massive participation this year.
Yes, it's very important, and more importantly is what we say. We must understand that Africa brings a lot to the table. Aside from our numbers, we have a lot of capacity and the ability to deliver. The leaders come together and discuss these things, and we as civil society advocate for it, for them to implement it. And that's why we have a lot of leaders, including ministers and heads of agencies that attend the UN General Assembly, so that the implementation in all our countries will be more effective. It is very important that our leaders attend the meetings. They have very busy itineraries. It's a very busy time. But unless we physically go to those meetings and speak our minds, what we have, what we need, and what we want to achieve where we're going, then it will not be a big success. But I know that a lot is going on. I can see on your screen, and it is our hope that with the New Hope agenda, there's going to be a lot. We also have the First Lady of Nigeria attending quite a few health meetings, and I'm very excited about that in particular. And we know that she's going to be a life voice for improving the health of women and children in the country.
Then access to better health will always be an important global topic. That's, worldwide. That's what everybody is talking about. So what suggestions will you be recommending?
It's all about the right amount of investment in our healthcare system, creating a conducive environment for our healthcare professionals, professional flights, particularly of healthcare workers, professional doctors and nurses and other healthcare professionals has been on the rise tremendously since the COVID pandemic. Everybody has a moral obligation. We have a duty to improve the conditions, not just in terms of the income that we give them, but also in terms of the social welfare system that exists in our country. The social security, it's a social contract. We must try to improve security and provide better schools. A lot of doctors that I talk to say they are going abroad, not even because of the salaries they're going to be paid, but because they can access better education for their children as well as better nutrition. So if we continue to speak about this and also to improve conditions, there's also an onus and a moral obligation on the global north to be less deliberate about poaching talents from us and to also work with us so that whilst we can train and we can all come here and learn things, there should be a system whereby they go back to their countries to give back what they have learned and not become a part of an already oversaturated workforce.
Right, CEO, Medicaid Cancer Foundation, Dr. Zainab Bagudu, thank you for your time today on the program. And do enjoy yourself at the assembly.
A very wet day, but I'll try. Thank you.
Let's get more on the UN General Assembly holding in New York City and more delegations participating from Nigeria. The former Emir of Kano, Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, is reiterating the need to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and a need for continued advocacy in Africa. He was speaking with correspondent Larry Lassisi on the sidelines of the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly holding in New York City.
Well, I'm one of the Secretary General's advocate on SDGs. And right now we go in for a meeting with the Secretary General. And usually what we do is basically look at the progress on SDGs, indicate the work we have done and our plans for continuing advocacy. In my case, I'm going to give an update on the HSMS2 challenge. As you're aware, 2 years ago, I started a challenge to train teachers because teachers are the strong point or the weak point, depending on where they are in the educational chain. We have so far disbursed almost $250,000. We've supported 60 projects in 20 African countries. We targeting, and this basically has impacted about 60,000 children. Now, what we're targeting over time is to get to 1,500 projects, 10,000 teachers, 5 million pupils. And the idea is and these are teachers who are trying to develop innovative and low-cost approaches to delivering education to their localities, to villages, rural areas in Africa. So that's my big project, and that's what I'm reporting on.
Away from the General Assembly, the Republic of Congo is denying a coup attempt in the country after unconfirmed social media reports claim that the military was trying to oust President Denis Nguesso, who has been in power for 39 years. The Congo-Brazzaville government's website posted a statement denying the coup attempt reports, reassuring the public of political calm and inviting people to go about their activities. President Nguesso is currently in New York for the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. The 79-year-old leader rose to power in a military coup himself in 1979. He lost Congo's first multi-party elections in 1992, but regained power in 1997 after a civil war. The Congolese leader is the third longest-serving president in Africa after Equatorial Guinea's Theodore Obiang and Cameroon's Paul Biya. And to weather events, landslides in the Democratic Republic of Congo has left 17 people dead. Among those killed are 7 women, 7 men and children under the age of 5 in a disaster that happened in the northern city of Lisala, the capital of Mongala province. The deaths followed days of torrential rain. According to witnesses, several houses along the Congo River had been submerged and residents were struggling to rescue people from the rubble. The governor of Mongala, Cesar Limbaya, sent his condolences to all the families of the deceased. However, 3 days of mourning has been declared, during which flags will be flying at half-mast following that disaster. Well, unfortunately, the situation in Derna is far from stable, and this is according to the UNHCR. The UN Refugee Agency has released a video appealing to the nations in the aftermath of the deadly floods in Libya, asking for urgent support for the areas devastated, specifically for Derna. Speaking from the flood-hit Libyan eastern city, UNHCR's Libya head of protection, Rana Saifi, described the situation as horrific.
One of the cities that has been affected the most by Storm Daniel, which hit last Sunday the eastern parts of Libya. As you can see from the surroundings behind me, the situation is horrific. I cannot explain what I saw on the way coming to Derna. I saw roads split in half. I saw massive rocks that have been moved over from neighboring mountains to the coastal areas. Homes have been demolished, damaged, submerged underwater. Families have lost a very big number of their loved ones. Many are still missing, some have been split, and others have been displaced. The search and rescue teams continue to try to save lives, but the situation is far from being stable at the moment. UNHCR has already provided core relief items as a first and immediate response, and we're working with our local partners to provide a lot more to try to mitigate the impact on those families who continue to suffer tremendous amount of shock. But the needs are huge, and a lot more support is needed and urgent.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Libya envoy Abdoulaye Batali has met with the head of the Eastern Base Administration, checking up on field operations during his visit to the flood-stricken coastal city of Derna. Speaking to the press, he said his visit is aimed to examine the situation and support aid workers on the ground. At least 11,300 people have died and another 10,100 are missing from Derna, according to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, while an estimated 170 people have been killed elsewhere in the country. Well, to health matters now. 9 people have died and 31 others infected following a cholera outbreak in Ethiopia's northwest region. According to the regional health official, Abdulmumen El Bashir, cases have been reported in 3 districts, while local media say the outbreak has spread through 11 regions, killing 320 people. Ethiopia has been grappling with severe humanitarian crisis where 2-year civil war and drought has caused a social disaster in the region. We're now in South Africa, where a tragic road accident in the northern province of Limpopo has left 20 people who are believed to be minors dead. According to officials, the victims are being transported to one of the biggest diamond mines in the country, Venetia, where their bus crashed head-on with a truck. Venetia, near the borders with Botswana and Zimbabwe, accounts for more than 40% of South Africa's annual diamond production. And finally, on the program, the British High Commission has agreed to explore partnership opportunities with the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, here in Nigeria on the provision of renewable clean energy and green infrastructure to the residents of the region. The Second Secretary Political, British High Commission, Abuja, Mr. Hamish Tai, announced this when he led a delegation to the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, for a meeting with the NDDC Managing Director.
In furtherance of efforts to make the oil-rich Niger Delta economically viable and improve the living conditions of its residents, the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, is engaging with development partners and government agencies. This visit to the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt by the British High Commission, Abuja, led by the Second Secretary Political Hamish Tai, is one of several partnership moves since the interventionist agency adopted the public-private partnership model as its core policy focus in driving development in the region. At the end of the closed-door engagement with the NDDC Managing Director, the leader of the delegation explains what transpired.
We discussed a wide range of issues that he's present here, but also kind of, yes, what we may, could explore partnership on moving forward, particularly in kind of more renewable clean energy projects.
Well, you see, since we came in, we have made partnership one of our core policy focus. We've gone round most of the embassies and even met with some of the development partners and donor agencies. We had our development partners and donor agencies conference in Abuja, which they were all part of it. And this is like a follow-up after that conference in Abuja. At least for them to come here, that means whatever we're saying is also, we're making progress.
The NDDC Managing Director also receives a delegation from the Oil and Gas Free Zones Authority, who are here to explore partnership in the development of industrial parks in the Niger Delta in order to tap into the economic potentials of the region.
There is no any other engagement that is faster than industrial parks. You will have the monopoly and ownership of land. You decide who comes and what he does, especially in the area of wealth creation, skill acquisition and transfer, and a number of things.
Welcoming the partnership, the NDDC Managing Director says the proposed industrial parks will promote investment and economic development, thereby creating wealth and employment in the Niger Delta region.
Having industrial parks is very, very key to the development of societies like ours. And on top of that, partnering to have an oil and gas free trade zone back will achieve more. And if we have that, who is going to be the beneficiary, the people of the region?
The NDDC boss adds that the industrial parks will be developed to promote technology transfer in the region. The partnership with the British High Commission on Clean and Renewable Energy, as well as the development of the proposed industrial park, will no doubt promote industrialization in the region and create job opportunities for the youth in the Niger Delta.
That's Network Africa today. Thank you for watching. I'm Joka Rogers.